Moving on to topic number 9, we're sticking with F1 racing because this story just does not want to go away. We talked a lot last week about the racing incident that happened with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen at Silverstone. Now Red Bull wasn't happy that it was only a 10-second penalty for Lewis Hamilton, so they are filing an official petition to increase the 10-second penalty on Hamilton and Mercedes. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this petition filing of Red Bull?
Well, first I want to say, hey, if you're new to this show, give us a subscribe, give us a like so we can keep delivering you great F1 content here from America. But hey, I've got a lot to say, and obviously our viral clip of the incident went huge, and you know, the Dutch fans coming out, but it looked like the Lewis Hamilton fans coming out too to support it. So it's just really everybody's got an opinion on that incident. But quickly, I want to challenge these Max fans that are calling me biased. That is BS and bogus. Just because I said I was a Lewis Hamilton fan, well, guess what? I'm also a Kimi Räikkönen fan, a Daniel Ricciardo fan, a Charles Leclerc fan, a Lando Norris fan, and a George Russell fan. I'm pretty much a fan of half the grid. I just love Formula One, man. So trying to call me biased is just far from the fact. And guess what? I've been watching Formula One since I was a kid here in the States, going back to the years of Nigel Mansell, Damon Hill, Senna, and Michael Schumacher. The real reason I fell in love with Formula One was Michael Schumacher driving that red Ferrari to the podium year after year. So trying to call me an F1 biased fan is just a weak attempt at really, you know, deflating and going against the facts here of that crash and that incident, because it just seems like Max fans and Red Bull clearly just don't want to drop it and move on, or even see that it was just a racing incident and it's just time to move on and move on to Hungary. But Red Bull bringing up the protest is not shocking to me at all. Let's go back to the teams in Austria when Valtteri Bottas spun in the pits. Teams quickly jumping on the horns to protest and wanting him to get a grid penalty, which quickly he did get a grid penalty. So F1 is just quickly becoming this thing of, hey, let's try to rat out the other team and snitch on the other team so we can give them a grid penalty and so we can get ahead of them and won't have to race them at the start of the race or even at any point in time during the race. And it's kind of sad to see at some point, you know what I mean? Because it's like we've got to kind of get away from some of this back and forth and just get back to just pure racing at some point. But I think this is one of those things where kind of like team orders in F1, as a fan, we don't always like seeing it, but we know inevitably it's going to happen. There's going to be team orders during a race, and there's going to be teams protesting against other teams, whether it be teams protesting against Racing Point last year for potentially copying their car and being like Mercedes, or earlier this year. Like I said, I mainly think this is just Red Bull responding to earlier this year, Mercedes protesting on their car, which turned out to be a big issue going forward. So it's just really one of those things where, I don't know if, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cause my PC was saying that I might've lost my mic. All right. But it's just really one of those things where I think you see this happen a lot, sadly, in F1, teams trying to basically challenge each other through the stewards to just get some advantage. And it's just even more competition in F1. But with Red Bull, I mean, it's just one of those things where a 10-second penalty was served for a 50-50 racing incident that a lot of people think was no penalty should have been served. 10-second penalty was served. He still went on to win the race. I think going back to look at it now is just wasting all of our time. I think it's time to move on to Hungary. And I know Red Bull's like, well, hey, we want to look at it going forward, so there's harsher penalties for that. But we've talked about this on this show. If you're going to be giving out harsher penalties for potential racing incidents, then guess what? You're going to start losing a lot of fans because the pure racing is just going to go right out the window. We want to be able to race tight, wheel to wheel, and we want to be able to race hard. And I guarantee you at Hungary this week, you're not going to be seeing anybody give each other room at all. And it's going to be an exciting race at Hungary, and I'm looking forward to it. But I think this Red Bull protest is going to go quickly out the window, And it's just kind of a waste of time for all of us F1 fans, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this whole thing with Red Bull bringing up this petition and trying to increase the penalty is strategy. It's strategy because they're so close in the standings right now, Hamilton and Max Verstappen, that anything that Red Bull can do to try to rattle Mercedes or try to rattle Lewis Hamilton, they're going to do, because Hamilton's now nipping at their heels again. We saw earlier in the season that Verstappen was kind of breaking away, but then Hamilton comes back last week at Silverstone, takes the first place podium, and all of a sudden he's right back in the thick of things with Max Verstappen. So anything that Red Bull can do to kind of distract Mercedes, they're going to do. Now, you look at what they have to do now to actually, for any type of penalty to incur, for them to increase the penalty, what's going to happen is there's a video conference between the two team managers. Then I think there can be up to 2 more team representatives. And the team that's filing the petition has to bring new, important evidence to support their claim that it should have been a bigger penalty. So there's nothing that's come out that said that there was any more video evidence or any more, evidence from anybody else that was driving that day or any other team that would say that, that it was Hamilton's fault solely over Verstappen. You even mentioned last week how Verstappen's wheels were turned a certain way that might even say that it might have been a little bit of his fault too. So, I think this is strategy by Red Bull just to kind of, jack up the system a little bit and get Mercedes a little bit flustered going into the Hungarian Grand Prix, because they're going to have this video conference on Thursday. That's when everybody gets there in Hungary. So it's going to kind of kick the week off on a sour note for Mercedes. Even if they don't incur a penalty, it's still going to kind of put a bad taste in their mouth that could help them, or that could motivate them, or that could hurt them and distract them. So I think for Red Bull, this is strategy. Christian Horner is trying to kind of rattle Mercedes.
And Christian Horner is not going to be happy with producer Ben Kudo pulling up that picture with him with the wig on. Thought that was absolutely amazing. But yeah, hey, Red Bull fans, give us a subscribe here. Give us a like.
Folks, if you like this show, you're watching it right now on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. That's Comeback Sports on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel, Comeback Sports, and then all the cut-ups that our awesome producer Ben Kudo puts together after the show, that'll all filter to your YouTube channel. You don't have to go search for it. It's just right there in your subscriptions.